against Aston Villa. Kinski up first. Sim went for 8. I gave him a 7. Look, I thought he was our best player on the day. Commanded his box really well. One real top save in there. And the kind of routine saves that he had to make, he did make as well. So I thought a really good performance from Kinski yesterday.
Yeah, big up Kinski. Another good game after following on from a pretty good game against Palace as well. So I think he's done well since stepping in. And maybe it shows he could have stepped in earlier for Vicario, although wouldn't say it was massively needed, but like Vicario has obviously been letting standards slip in the Premier League, and we've been saying, does Kinski deserve a run in the Premier League? And we weren't sure if he was ever going to get it, but he has in these 2 games, and he's done himself proud. Fair play to him. Yeah. So I think made some good saves. That one from Rodgers, it's going to go under the radar because we lost and it's just a meaningless game, but that is one of the saves of the season. I really think so. Unbelievable fingertip save when that was reaching the corner, and I think that was a phenomenal outstretched save. And he was unlucky as well because he played a brilliant ball to Odebear in that second half, who should have really taken it in his stride and gone on to create a chance, and he just took a bad touch and it didn't happen. But I thought overall commanding, confident, good shot stopping, although one bad mark was the second goal. Probably should have done better with that. He'll be disappointed with that second goal. Let it slip through him. He should have saved it. But I think apart from that, pretty good performance.
Jed Spence up next. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. I was getting really frustrated with Spence, particularly in the first half, because I thought his offensive play was just like kind of non-existent. He was just being really sloppy, really lazy on the ball. From a defensive standpoint, I don't think he got dribbled past or anything like that. And I thought, when it came to his one-on-one defending, he was fairly good. And I did think he improved a bit in the second half as well. But those moments in the first half has just become a bit of a staple of his play recently in the last couple of weeks. Just really like kind of lethargic play from him.
Yeah, and I think, again, maybe he's so used to like dribbling himself out of trouble that like when he can't do it, he just seems to resort to just going long and aimlessly, and it's becoming a bit frustrating. And he doesn't do it with much quality. At least when you've got like Porro going long, he's got a bit of quality in those passes, and and it goes close to or finds a man. When Spence does it, just overhits every time and just goes straight back to the Villa defence, and they get to recycle possession. And I think he's been guilty of that quite a lot recently. I do think they were getting quite a bit of joy down that side because I think obviously Mikey Moore wasn't giving him much help. Not because he wasn't trying, just because I don't think he was able to really. Yeah. He was trying, but he was just every time losing his man because he just wasn't able to keep up much. And I think that was also obviously hampering Spence. But I think in his one-on-one duels, especially there was times in the second half late in the game where I think Bailey came on and was taking him on one-on-one and he dealt with those situations quite well. But overall wasn't a great performance from him.
Kevin Danso up next. 6 all round for Danso, and I thought, he was probably our best defender on the day. Played very well in terms of, put himself on the line, blocks, challenges, being aggressive, his aggressive nature. His playing out the back was, pretty poor, to be honest. But he did a job what we needed at that time, and I felt like the limited chances, or good chances, should I say, that Villa had in that first half, a lot was down to do with him.
I think where he really earned his money was those blocks, shots. He did that a few times where Villa really looked like they were going to get a good chance, and he just came storming out of nowhere and blocked a shot that was probably going to be on goal. Even one as well, I think late in the game, Rodgers had a curler that was looking like it was going to hit the corner, and just Danso heads it just over the bar to give away a corner. So I think there were some good moments. On the ball again, I have to say, a bit frustrating. Again, his weight of pass is just, I don't know what it is, but this guy is an experienced, a centre back in his mid-20s, and he still kind of doesn't know how to weight his passes.
I think he's got lead boots on.
Yeah, he just powers him every time. It's like, you used to play in the guys in the one of these defenders in the playground used to play, and every time they get the ball, they just smack it. Like they don't know how to just calmly pass the ball. Like every time he's passing out wide or into feet, it's just putting so much power on it. And I think it's all right over long distances, but he's doing it over short distances, and it's putting the players he's giving in trouble, or he just overhits it and it goes out of play. So he's got to work on that. I think if he does, he can be a good player on the ball because he's confident. He's happy to receive the ball in high at the pitch, and he's happy. He looks confident when he's on the ball. But he just does his thing where he looks confident, and then when it's time to release it, it just goes able. So he's got to work on that. But defensively, really good. And I think Watkins had moments, but I think mostly when he was on Davies, in my opinion, rather than Danso. So I thought he actually did quite well on defensively.
Davies up next. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 6. I didn't have too many problems with Davies yesterday, to be honest. I thought first half he as well was putting his body on the line. There was a last-ditch challenge in there from him that, you know, looked a certain goal. And he also, his playing out the back was actually better than Danso. There was that one really nice ball to Sonny that set him away on the left-hand side. So, look, he did struggle at times, like the whole team, for sure. But, look, I thought he did okay.
Yeah, I think it was okay. It wasn't great. I thought Watkins was getting a bit more joy out of him down that side than he was out of Danso. I think... yeah, look, I don't think it was a terrible performance, but I just thought Dancer was better than him, and I thought defensively he was a bit more of a weak link, so gave him a 4.
Reguilon up next, his first appearance since January. Sim gives him a 4, I gave him a 5. I thought in the beginning stages of the game he was actually doing really well from a defensive standpoint out on the left-hand side. The one embarrassing moment, though, from him, wasn't it? When it looked like he got flicked by Onana.
Oh, my God.
And he was going up, showing up his shirt to literally everyone. Look what he did to me. Look what he did to me.
There was nothing there. There was nothing there. He was like showing nothing. He's like, look at my abs, basically. Look at my abs. Look at them. He's like showing off.
What are you doing, Reggie? But...
he went on for like 5 minutes, like going to the VAR. I was like, look. And like you look at the replay, I was like, what are we looking at? It was ridiculous.
I know, like, look, he didn't impact the game at all from an offensive standpoint, but I thought he did okay from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, I think Matt Cash was giving him a lot of trouble, and Rodgers as well. I think it wasn't a great performance, in my opinion. Defensively, maybe a bit better than offensively. I think on the ball was really poor, to be honest, putting the ball out of play, just aimlessly playing the ball long. Wasn't able to really link up with Sonny or any of the players inside. Looked a player out of practice maybe, and he definitely is that when it comes to playing with the team. I think defensively was a bit better, but still nothing particularly impressive, so gave him a 4.
Pape Sarr up next, 5s all round for Pape. I thought in the first half, he was screening the back four pretty well, being very aggressive up against that Aston Villa midfield. It was like foul after foul after foul, it seemed like. I think officially it was only 2 fouls, but there was definitely more in there that weren't given. There was like 2 in one go, where only one of them obviously were given. But he wasn't able to like progress the ball up the pitch at all, to be honest, but... Villa had 71% possession, and I think Sarr in the first half did okay, and then second half he went off fairly early and got injured, but he didn't really come out with the same tenacity in the second half.
Yeah, I think him and Gray in a double pivot was probably helping each other not get completely overrun off the ball. I still think there were moments where he was struggling, and obviously he had to pull down Asensio, and actually Asensio was having a great time in that middle in that first half, especially. Couldn't get the ball off him. And Sarr, I think, had to foul him twice, as you say, to bring him down. And then clearly he must have twinned something or whatever, because he wasn't moving right in that second half and had to go down the tunnel right at the beginning. But I thought there are moments where he kind of had it under control in that moment, but again... I think Villa, as the game went on, was starting to really put the screw in that position, and I think Sarr was looking a bit lost at times.
Archie Gray, Sim gives him a 4, I gave him a 5. Again, at the centre of midfield for Archie, which he just doesn't look kind of physically ready for that kind of position in the Premier League. I thought he did better in the first half than he has done in the past, but second half I thought his performance probably massively declined, and I wasn't delighted with his first half display, but I was, content with it. But then in the second half, it did decline massively.
Yeah, I think off the ball, when it comes to positionally, and this comes to maybe his reading of the game, what a clever player he is, he was doing some good stuff, blocking cutbacks and being in the right position. But I just think physically, he just wasn't kind of up against... one of the most physical midfielders in the league in Onana, and you got Kamara as well, who's very physical, and you got McGinn down that side, who's extremely physical. Anytime he's asked to make a tackle or shield the ball or do anything that required a bit of strength, he was struggling badly, and they bullied him a bit. But I think when it came to him being in the right place, just positionally tracking his runners and blocking cutbacks and covering that kind of space, he was doing some good stuff. But he got bypassed too often. He was not able to even make fouls a lot of the time, or forced to make fouls some other times. On the ball as well, we're just not seeing that confident Gray we saw at Leeds or at times this season. At the start, he's those kind of trademark bursts into midfield or runs into space have completely abandoned him. Moved to fullback, looked a bit more comfortable, but still, again, wasn't quite good, to be honest. Still struggled in that moment. Obviously, was moved to left back, I think, at one point. Then I think he ended the game at right back. But either way, it just wasn't great from him.
Wilson Odebear up next. 5s from him. Not much to report, to be honest, from Odebear. Got into a good position with some nice link-up play with Tell with a back heel that was straight at the keeper, which would have been an unbelievable move if we could have finished that off. And it would have been a delightful goal from him. The one moment as well when Kinski throws the ball over the pitch, he's got to be doing better. He's got to show a better first touch because he was in there if he does. But yeah, apart from that, it didn't really make an impact, to be honest. I thought it was pretty poor apart from those 2 moments. Well, yeah, apart from that one moment.
I think there was large portions of the game he was completely anonymous and we couldn't get the ball to him, whether it would be Anana screening him and just not allowing him any space or whatever. But for large portions of the game, he was out the game. But he did find a couple of moments, as you say, that I think the counter-attack in that first half, I think great ball by Son, but underrated what a brilliant touch it is from Odebear to kind of take it away from the defender, create a bit of space, get out wide to Tell, then make a good run. And I actually thought the finish was quite good in terms of the power he was able to get on that back heel, which is unfortunate. It was just too close to Martinez. He was able to make the save. He did have another good moment in the second half where the ball gets played into feet. He kind of rolls McGinn, which was quite impressive, gets onto the edge of the area, plays a good ball out wide to Tell, but Tell kind of wastes it on that left-hand side. Apart from that, he really did struggle to kind of get involved in the game, and he had that moment as well. He got in behind the defence in the second half, but a bad touch, just doesn't quite get it away from the defender, allows him to kind of outmuscle him and win the ball back, and that could have been a good opportunity. So a couple of bright moments, but largely anonymous.
Mikey Moore got his big start. Sim gives him a 3. I gave him a 4. Just little, next to no impact, to be honest. I gave him a pity point just because he's 17, to be honest, and I love him, but he just couldn't make any impact in the game from an offensive standpoint. He won a few duels. That's about all that came his way, to be honest. And yeah, it's a bit frustrating seeing him on the right-hand side because he's a lot better on the left, and I think that's proved whenever we've seen him this season. He was on the right, did end up going off injured in the second half as well. He just seemed to get physically overawed by that Villa team, who are a very obviously aggressive team.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. And I don't want to be harsh on him, but I think the reality is he probably was our worst player on the day. He just wasn't up to it. Maatsen was bullying him, was having a bit of fun with him, wasn't physically able to keep up with him. When he was able to ask to take him on, wasn't able to do it. Didn't have the confidence or just wasn't able to. It was tough. It was a tough day. When he had chances to show what he could do on the ball, didn't really do that. Was kind of taking heavy touches and wasn't really up to it. And it was just unfortunate. There was even one moment where I think Bissouma plays a ball in behind and he's like well favourite to get there ahead of Maatsen. And he does end up actually winning a free kick, but he had like 2 or 3 yards on Maatsen and just allowed Maatsen to catch up with him where he should have really been getting away from him, and he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't get away from him because I think physically wasn't able to. So it was a difficult day for Mikey.
Sonny up next. 6 all round for Sonny. Definitely our best outfield player on the day. I mean, he was our only real outlet in that second half on that left-hand side. He was doing well up against his fullback, burning him for pace on a number of occasions. I think his decision-making could have been a bit quicker, to be honest, but there was one moment where he cuts inside and plays a lovely shot that goes just wide, and you're thinking if that goes in, that's the Sonny of old that we absolutely adore. And obviously the ball he played out to Odebear that created that chance for the back heel that we talked about before was delightful to see as well. He didn't really come out for the second half in that same kind of mood, but that first half is kind of not exactly what we want to see from Sonny, but a few traits that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, and I think the way he was running and his pace was really encouraging. There was a couple of moments where right in the beginning of the game, he burns Cash in behind and dawdles on the ball a bit too long. But, the way he just got away from Matt Cash was quite impressive. But he did allow Cash to get back in on him. He shouldn't have allowed that to happen. He then had one moment where he just takes one touch, gets a cross in, and that was a really good ball. Unfortunately, just doesn't fall for Tell and Villa are able to clear. He cut inside and had a really good effort near to the far post, which was a brilliant moment for him. The pass to Odebear was fantastic. They started the counter-attack, and right at the end of the half, he just burns Kamara down that left-hand side on a really good counter-attack. And unfortunately for him, he kind of guilty of rushing the pass potentially because he just kind of he had a lot more time, and he actually created a lot more separation against Kamara than maybe he thought he did. And he kind of just rushed the pass, ends up playing it behind Tell and Odebear, and the chance was gone. But that was a really good moment from the counter-attack as well. And it's more just about how fresh he's looking and his pace he was showing. And he didn't seem to be like kind of struggling to take people on or anything like that. He seemed to be a lot more kind of up for it on those moments. But yeah, second half was a bit more of a struggle for sure.
Matisse Tell, Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. Again, just more huffing and puffing without really showing too many signs of quality. He did play the ball to Odebear with that back heel that we keep speaking about because it was our only real chance on goal. But apart from that, I mean, I was getting really frustrated with him in the first half because he just kept constantly making foul after foul after foul after foul. I'm not sure how many it was in the first half, but I think it was like 3 or 4 just in the first half alone. And he got booked, and he was kind of pulling out of every challenge after that because he knew he was going to be close to be sent off. And yeah, I just feel like he does show a few flashes of, you know, the quality that he has, but every time he does that, he's got nothing at the end of it.
Yeah, he's obviously playing up front for a lot of the game, and I think Konsa just had him in his pocket, to be honest. And I think that booking came from a bit of frustration from him, that Konsa basically, every time Tell wanted the ball to feet, Konsa's just bullying him and winning the ball back, and he didn't really have an answer to it. Obviously, he had one moment where, when you talk about that back heel, he did pull away from Konsa at that moment, created a bit of space, and played a good ball into Odebear, and that was quite good. A good bit of decision-making, execution. But apart from that, I think when he was up front, I think Konsa and Pau Torres just pretty much was meat and drink for them, easy. Then once he goes over to the left, he's taking on Matt Cash on the right-hand side, and he kind of struggled to take him on a lot of occasions. A lot of the time, it did feel like he was like 2 versus 1, and then there was a few good moments where he like cut inside, played some nice passes in field, and trying to create a few interchanges, but no one seemed to be on his wavelength. But when he was asked to kind of take people on and create a moment by himself with some dribbling, found wanting, I felt, and disappointing.
Bissouma, he came on just after half-time for Sarr, who went off injured. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. I felt he could have done better for both goals that we conceded, to be honest, and particularly the Kamara one. The Kamara one, so he's standing off Kamara a little bit, and Kamara gets the ball on the edge of the box, and it looks like he's about to dart forward towards him. But then he notices the guy running in behind him, and he kind of just leaves Kamara and starts focusing on the guy behind him. And I'm like thinking, surely you got to like just cut out the danger first before looking at the man behind you. But he got caught in two minds, Bissouma, and he ended up going with the man behind him. But yeah, I just thought he got overrun a little bit as well.
Yeah, I thought he was a bit better than Sarr and Gray, to be honest. I thought there was some okay stuff and some decent passes, but you know, it's difficult to say he was fantastic. But I think in midfield, I think he was individually quite good. I don't think we improved or anything when he was on, but I think him individually was okay. He was competing decently, much better than Sarr and Gray were. Played a lovely ball over the top to Mikey Moore as well, who should have got on the end of a really nice long ball. But yeah, I think both goals for sure. He won't be happy with them.
And Ange Postecoglou, 5s all round for Big Ange. And yeah, look, he didn't pick a team to win the game. He picked a team to win the game on Wednesday. That's the reality. And
didn't pick a team to win the game. He picked a team to win the trophy.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So look, what can you really say about Ange? He's made 11 changes for this game. So obviously this game wasn't at the forefront of his mind. And it showed on the pitch. You know, the players were surprisingly more up for it in the first half than I thought they would, but ultimately the quality told on the pitch. And look, it's down to Ange Postecoglou at the end of the day because he's the manager. We're rating him on this game that he managed, and he didn't manage it to win the game.
No, he didn't. And yeah, we did all right for about an hour, I would say, and then as soon as that goal went in, it was only going to go one way. And I think for a lot of that game, a lot of it was just down to Villa being nervous, maybe with how much was at stake in this game, and they didn't want to screw it up. And that tension you could feel in the crowd and in the stadium. They were maybe kind of struggling with all the stakes that were in this game. But yeah, I think Ange, I didn't have a problem with the 11. Didn't have a massive problem with the performance for large parts until obviously we did start losing. Then as soon as we conceded a goal, the confidence dropped, everything dropped, and he couldn't really turn it around. Apart from the most annoying thing though was I thought when Slanky came on, he showed, we showed a bit more ability to get, keep the ball in the final third and get up there. But he literally was on the touchline and we conceded a goal, which I don't know how many times that's happened this season, something similar to that. Like we concede just before or just after a sub or just something like that, where he's just about to influence the game and then something changes like within that parameter. It's happened so many times.
I feel like that always has happened to us though. Like, I remember it happened to us consistently under Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, just something would happen. So, bit annoying. If it was a 1-0 when Solanke comes on, maybe he could have done something, but it was a 2-0.
Solanke didn't really show much when he came on.
I thought Solanke was decent when he came on.
So?
He showed some stuff, I thought. Yeah, he did.
I thought he was barely in the game, to be honest.
I thought he showed some good hold-up play, and we were much more able to get the ball up the pitch when he was there, to be honest.
Did we get the ball up the pitch when he was on?
Yeah, a bit more than we were, in my opinion. But anyway, by the by, is what it is. We got the game on Wednesday, and that's all that matters. So, not going to mark him too harshly.
All right, so that is our player ratings. Let's go on to see how the